Hi everybody, welcome to the training today. This is HTE's Advanced ERE. The Advanced ERE is a stellar piece of equipment and I'm really excited to share about it with you today. Again, my name is Laura Brown and I'll be your presenter for this training segment. If I had to give you a quick summary of what the ERE does, I would say two things. First of all, it works on pain very quickly. That's acute pain and chronic pain. And secondly, it works on reflexology. Let's look at the pain portion first. Our bodies are very electrical. The electrical communication that takes place between the nerves and the cells is absolutely mind-boggling. When we have pain, it is because there is a breakdown in the electrical communication that takes place between our nerves and our cells, or because that electrical communication has somehow become repressed. The Advanced ERE goes in at the right mode and the right frequency, and it finds where that breakdown in electrical communication has occurred, and then it reconnects those circuits, thus reducing inflammation, promoting healing, and reducing or eliminating pain. Well, let's talk about the reflexology portion. I said that was the second thing that I would tell you about. The Advanced ERE is based on the principles of reflexology. And what is reflexology? Well, reflexology is a science that deals with the principle that there are reflex areas on our hands and on our feet. And what it deals with is that those reflex areas correspond to specific glands and organs in other parts of our body. Reflexology has been used to combat effects of improper diet and environmental pollutants, and it helps to align physical, mental, and emotional energies. The other things reflexology is used or has been used for is to relieve stress and tension, to improve blood supply, meaning circulation, and to promote the unblocking of nerve impulses. I hope you heard that one. I'm going to say it again. To promote the unblocking of nerve impulses. Ladies and gentlemen, this is huge. Many people have used HTE's Advanced ERE and they've had restored feeling to areas of their body that they've not had feeling in for years. I attend a lot of HTE's company-sponsored trainings and I feel like every time I go, there's somebody new there giving a testimony about how they had partial paralysis and they used the ERE and they got some feeling back, or they had neuropathy and they used the ERE and they have feeling back in their feet. So just an incredible way that the ERE can help the body to heal. Here's some examples of the reflexology areas on our hands and on our feet. Now this is a picture of just some of the organs in your body that are receiving electrical stimulus therapy simply by using the ERE. I mean, when you look at this picture, by putting your feet on the ERE, you can work your lungs, your neck, your brain, your gallbladder, your liver, your adrenal glands. I mean, you can work your colon. Just absolutely incredible that you can work all of these areas of your body without having to go pay a reflexologist, simply by putting your feet on the ERE and having a relaxing massage on the bottom of your feet. Now, if you have a pen and paper handy, go ahead and grab it. I'm going to be showing you a list, and when you see this list, once again there's going to be names of people that you know that come to your mind, and you're going to want to write their name down. So I'm going to give you a couple seconds to go grab that pen and paper. All right, I mentioned as I began this presentation that the ERE is a wonderful massage that helps with pain, both acute and chronic. And we're going to be talking about in a little bit the impact that the Advanced ERE has on parasites, but it does reduce and eliminate them. The ERE provides an incredible massage and it also energizes the body. And how does it do that? Well, our body has meridians going throughout it, and these are the energy pathways in the body. And the Advanced ERE, because of the electrical mode and frequency that's going through the body, it helps to keep those pathways open. It will remove any blockages that are there. People have used the Advanced ERE for carpal tunnel very successfully. The ERE is excellent for inflammation, for tired, sore feet. Do you know of anybody who has plantar fasciitis? I actually had plantar fasciitis myself, and I was working at a job where I was standing anywhere from anywhere from 6 to 10 hours a day on concrete, and by the time I get home in the evening, my feet would hurt so bad, all the way up through my ankles and into my knees, that I couldn't even think about cooking supper for my family, because when I get home, I just have to sit. I mean, it hurt so bad. Well, the ERE was the only thing that worked, because I really did not want to be popping Tylenol or Advil all the time. I didn't want to do that to my body, so I used the ERE, and it really took care of the pain. And a few years ago, I actually worked with a nurse who had plantar fasciitis, and she came in and used the ERE for, I'd say she did probably 5 minutes on each mode, and she actually got up and said, "Hey, you can turn it off, the pain is gone." Well, she came back about 2 weeks later and said that just from that one session, the pain of her plantar fasciitis was still gone. The ERE is wonderful for knee injuries. I worked with a lady who was probably somewhere in her 70s, and she'd had a knee injury and was dealing with a lot of pain and inflammation, and so we had her feet on the ERE. But the advanced ERE also comes with 6 electrical stimulus pads that we put on her knees as well, and that helped her tremendously for pain and inflammation in her knee. You can work your neck, shoulders, and back. You can help to eliminate yeast, fungus, and candida. The ERE, I talked a little bit earlier, it does improve circulation. So for those of you with diabetes and any of the diabetes related, I suppose you would call them side effects or outcomes such as neuropathy, the ERE works excellent for increasing circulation and bringing feeling back. We talked about that earlier. It's excellent for helping relieve stressful aches and pains, to ease tension and reduce fatigue, and also assisting in weight loss. The electrical stimulus pads, no matter where you put them on your body, they're going to help, specifically in the massage mode. They're going to help to break down fat cells. That's absolutely incredible. And I know on some of the HTE company sponsored videos, they'll actually show a person putting the pads on their stomach, and you can get an abdominal workout from that because of the contract release function of the pads. Okay. Oh, I wanted to let you know also with the ERE, it's excellent for UTIs and bladder infections as well. But the one thing that really stands out in my mind, it's probably one of my most recent testimonies that I have with the ERE, is that it's awesome for calluses. Last year in Minnesota, we had an early warm spring and we had a really long warm fall. So I was literally wearing flip-flops from March through October in Minnesota. Some of you are laughing right now. Well, anyway, my feet were really rough and calloused come October, and I ended up using the ERE for about 20 minutes on each mode one morning, and I wasn't using it for my calluses, I was using it for another reason. But later on that night, I was sitting on the couch with my feet tucked up under me, and ladies, you know what it feels like when you go get a pedicure, how when they're all done, after they've scraped the gunk off our feet and they've soaked them and massaged them with lotions and stuff, you know how soft and smooth they feel? That is exactly the way my feet felt. So for me, if that was the only benefit of the ERE, it would be so worth it. But as I've told you already, there's so many more benefits. All right, the advanced ERE is a form of electrical stimulus therapy. Now, this is a therapy that sends electrical impulses through the body, and it triggers certain effects to the bone or any tissue being treated. HTE's ERE comes with 6 electrical stimulus pads. I mentioned that just a little bit ago. But the reason that's so important is that you can use it for direct therapy to any affected area. Electrical stimulus therapy triggers the muscles to contract and release, so it's a great form of exercise. Your muscles can actually be strengthened. It stimulates the nerves, which helps to decrease pain. It increases circulation to affected areas, and that also is going to speed healing. The electrical stimulus therapy, and yes, the ERE, because the ERE uses electrical stimulus therapy, helps to reduce inflammation. It helps to trigger the cells to reproduce, and again, that's going to speed healing. Helps to decrease muscle spasms, and it helps to heal up tendon, ligament, bone, and nerve injuries. All right, so who is using electrical stimulus therapy? Well, the application of this type of therapy is being used by doctors, chiropractors, PTs, OTs, massage therapists, and by individuals for home use. Now we're going to be looking at the history of electrical stimulus therapy and how it's progressed in its use over the years. It was developed by Guillaume Duchenne all the way back in 1855, so really it's been used for the better part of 160 years. Mr. Duchenne used it for the purpose of muscle contraction. His development of this type of therapy in its infancy prompted the use of electrical stimulation therapy for almost all rehabilitation involving muscles thereafter. It was even used by the United States War Department back in the 1940s to prevent muscle atrophy and to help build muscle mass and strength to soldiers' muscles when they'd have injuries. Here's one that is a fact that I hope this makes you sit up in your chair and listen extra close. Electrical stimulation therapy was used all the way back in 1959 for cancer with very promising results. In a study published in the Journal of Science, they reported a complete destruction of tumors in 60% of subjects. And then almost 30 years ago, in 1985, the Journal of Cancer Research published a report in animal subjects. In animal subjects, there was a 98% shrinkage of tumors, and the electrical stimulation therapy that was done had only been used a total of 5 hours over 5 days. That is pretty incredible. If someone has a fast-spreading cancer, it's because those cancer cells are dividing very quickly. Well, back in 1992, a study was done that showed that the application of electrical stimulation slowed down or normalized the divisions of abnormal cells. And then in 1999, a large analysis was done, and with no surprise, they found that electrical stimulation therapy does help to speed the healing of wounds. All right, well, how is electrical stimulation therapy being used today? I listed off a bunch of different professions that are using this. How is it being used? Well, the American Physical Therapy Association acknowledges the use of electrical stimulation therapy for pain management because it improves muscle strength and control, it decreases muscle atrophy, and it helps to improve circulation. Electrical stimulus therapy increases range of motion and it aids in tissue repair by helping to strengthen connective and dermal tissues. Electrical stimulation has positive effects on acute and chronic edema. And here's one that I found very, very interesting. It's been successful in strengthening muscles to patients or to help patients have more control of bowel and bladder. So if you know anyone who's struggling with incontinence, perhaps the ERE could be of assistance. Electrical stimulation therapy is being used by practitioners for back pain, to reduce the pain associated with rheumatoid arthritis, and for injuries like sprains or even more painful conditions like shingles. For those people who've been affected by paralysis, electrical stimulation creates contractions in the muscles, so the muscles can get exercise and it can prevent atrophy. And actually, electrical stimulation therapy can help the nervous system to relearn muscle movements. In 2011, the results of a study done using electrical stimulation on patients paralyzed with spinal cord injuries at the Toronto Rehabilitation Institute, what they found is that those who received electrical stimulation therapy did better than those receiving just conventional occupational therapy. Over 9 weeks, over a 9-week period, with just using electrical stimulation 1 hour a day, those people had 3 times greater improvement in grasping capability and in being able to perform daily living skills. According to Dr. Popovic, this study, quote, proves that by stimulating peripheral nerves and muscles, you can actually retrain the brain, unquote. Electrical stimulation therapy promotes faster bone healing because it causes bone cells to divide more quickly. Electrical stimulation therapy is also excellent for open wound healing. There was a study done back in 2010 on adults with spinal cord injuries, and they also had stage 2 to 5 pressure ulcers. They used electrical stimulation therapy for about 3 months, and those that had received the therapy or the electrical stimulation therapy along with standard wound care had a 50% increase in healing than those that had just been treated with standard wound care. Okay, so how is HTE's advanced ERE different from other electrical stimulation therapies that are out there, like, say, a TENS unit? Well, HTE's advanced ERE is a three-way approach. The 6 electrical stimulus pads can get at localized pain while simultaneously the feet are being massaged with electrical stimulation therapy on all those reflexology areas. Remember that chart I showed you of the hands and the feet and all those reflexology areas? So while you can use the pads to concentrate on a specific area or set of muscle group, you're getting concentrated care or electrical stimulus therapy, but you're getting whole body electrical stimulus therapy as well. Secondly, there are 3 different modes or frequencies with the advanced ERE that will help to promote different types of healing. And thirdly, you get to control the intensity. The heated foot pads that come with the ERE will help to keep your feet warm and soothed, and it also comes with a remote control. So if you're concerned about bending down to push any buttons, you really don't have to do that because of the remote control. Again, I mentioned that you get to control the intensity. You can set a timer for anywhere from 5 to 60 minutes. And I think that pretty much covers it. The pads are replaceable, and for people who fear pain when they travel, you can bring the ER with you. It's portable, it's very lightweight, so it's easy to travel with. Now, in the beginning of the presentation, when I was listing off some of the benefits of the ERE and the things that it has been known to help people with, I said that we were going to address parasites, and now we're going to address that creepy subject right now. Okay, more and more authorities and practitioners are blaming parasites for being the cause of many common diseases and ailments. According to Dr. Ross Anderson, who is America's foremost parasitic infection specialist, he says, "I believe the single most undiagnosed health challenge in the history of the human race is parasites. I realize that is a pretty brave statement, but it is based on my 20 years of experience with more than 20,000 patients." We have a tendency to think that parasites are a third world country problem, but that is no longer the case. It's now believed that 85% of the North American adult population has parasites, and some authorities on the subject believe it's actually as high as 95%. Just go to YouTube and start doing searches such as typing in parasites in North America or parasites in surgery, and you can watch videos on YouTube of surgeons here in this country pulling parasites like tapeworms out of heart tumors. I watched a video on YouTube of a neurosurgeon who was operating on somebody's brain, and he started laughing, and he said you wouldn't expect a neurosurgeon to be laughing during brain surgery, but he said this is the 4th person I've operated on this year who's had tapeworm cysts in their brains. So it's out there, and we need to start paying attention to this. Well, you might be thinking, how can this be? Why is this now an issue for those of us in the United States? According to Ann Gittleman in her book, Guess What Came to Dinner? The reason that we are dealing with this here in this country and that it's not a far-off third world country problem anymore is a combination of all the following reasons. There's been a rise in international travel. We have contaminated water supplies. There's increasing use of daycare centers, a growing population of refugees and immigrants from endemic areas, return of armed forces from overseas, and here's one to think about. Do you have any pets in your house? Do they sleep in your or your child's bed? Okay, enough said. There's been a rise in the popularity of exotic undercooked foods, the use of antibiotics and immune suppressive drugs, and of course the sexual revolution. Well, how do you know if you have parasites? We're going to be going through 2 slides of symptoms that may be indicative of parasites. And this is not, if you have these symptoms, this is not to make you think, oh my goodness, it's not a self-diagnosis. You definitely want to be talking to your doctor, but some of these are definitely a telltale telltale sign of parasites. So itchy ears, nose, and anus. Do you have a child who constantly seems to be picking their nose or scratching their bottoms? That's a pretty good indicator that there may be a parasitic infection going on. For men specifically, it could manifest itself in sexual dysfunction. If you tend to have extreme forgetfulness, slow reflexes, gas and bloating, unclear thinking, loss of appetite, yellowish face, even sometimes just having dark circles under the eyes, a fast heartbeat, heart pain, nose picking, and some of these are kind of generalized and don't necessarily mean that there's a parasite issue, but when you have a lot of these things going on, your radar should definitely be up. Pain in the navel. Also, if you're the type of person who can eat a great big huge meal and then 10 minutes later you're in the kitchen looking for something to eat, that's most likely parasites. Parasites can cause pain in the back, thighs, and shoulders. They can cause lethargy, extreme fatigue. They can make you feel like you're tired all the time. You can end up with numb hands or a burning sensation in your stomach. Women, if you have a lot of problems with your menstrual cycle, it could be parasite related. Here's a really telltale one. If you wake up and realize that you've been drooling, that's probably parasites. Another telltale one is grinding the teeth while you sleep, most likely parasites. And then especially in young children, bedwetting could be indicative of parasites. All right, well then you just go and get a round of prescription drugs for you and your family, right? Well, maybe not, and I'm not telling you not to do that because you definitely should be consulting with your doctor, but here's some information as to why prescription drugs may not work. In the research I did, it seems like there's a general consensus that there is a misconception among physicians when it comes to treating parasites. The misconception is that there's this idea that one course of a drug is 90% effective. And while that might have been true 25 or 30 years ago, that's not true today. The single course cure is actually estimated to be only 5% effective today. And in fact, there are certain kinds of drugs used for parasite infections that have such bad side effects that a lot of times the patients would refuse to take them or to even take a second dose. Not only that, a lot of parasite diagnosis tests come back negative. Well, why is that? A lot of these tests are testing the stool of a person to see if there's parasites or parasite eggs or anything else in that stool that would indicate parasites. But the problem, ladies and gentlemen, is that parasites can live in any part of your body. They can live in your gallbladder. In fact, they've cut gallstones open before and have found parasites in them. They can live in your heart, they can live in your brain, so any organ of your body, parasites can hang out in. So medical tests only catch about 20% of actual cases, but there are over 1,000 species of parasites that can live in the human body, and medical tests are only available for about 40 to 50 types. So according to Dr. Ross Anderson again, this means that doctors are only testing for about 5% of parasites and missing 80% of them. So that brings the ability to clinically find parasites down to a whopping 1%. Alright, so here's some more ways that we can get parasites. Through contact with others, through poor hygiene, undercooked foods, fruits and vegetables not being properly washed, gardening, going barefoot through your yard, going barefoot through the soil as you're gardening, or even just going for a walk because some parasite eggs can be airborne. The reality is that parasites are a part of life. We all get them and you can't avoid them. So what does this have to do with HTE's advanced ERE? In Dr. Hulda Clark's book, The Cure for All Cancers, she talks about the zapper. This is a device that she designed to deliver an electrical frequency to parasites, and it kills them. Well, HTE's advanced ERE is a whole body zapper based on the same principles, and it is wildly effective. See, the 3 different modes or frequencies that are used with HTE's advanced ERE deliver different frequencies to kill different types of parasites. And then due to the reflexology feature, the purpose behind the ERE with the reflexology, that can eliminate parasites from every organ that they may be hiding in. And For those of you who like to hear testimonies, I'm going to tell you my own testimony when it comes to parasites. So I apologize in advance if this is a little bit too much TMI, but this really did happen to my husband and I. So here goes. This was about 3 years ago, and we'd already had our advanced ERE for quite a while at that point. But it was during the summer about 3 years ago. I think it was 2010, and it was August, and we were using our ERE kind of here and there. So we'd use it 1 or 2 days in a row, forget about it for a day, come back, use it again. So we weren't using it real faithfully every day, but we were using it sporadically. And one day I felt like I had to go to the bathroom. So I went to the bathroom and something just didn't feel quite right. And sure enough, in the toilet, there were 3 very long and what looked like transparent spaghetti noodles. Now, we had not had spaghetti in 3 months. Okay, so my husband comes home that night, and because we are such a loving couple, we share every detail with each other. So I'm telling him, honey, you're not going to believe what happened today. So I'm starting to tell him the story, and he starts interrupting me, and he's like, well, what did they look like? He had me describe them to him, and he's like, Laura, what time did this happen? Well, lo and behold, 2 hours after my experience, he had the exact same experience, and he passed the exact same kind of parasite. So I'm telling you, there is truth to this. I know of a lot of other people who have used the ERE and have passed things that have come out their nose, they've passed things through their stool, and sometimes you don't even see them come out because they can hide in stool. So just keep that in mind. I'm going to share with you another testimony. This is a lady named Diane, and I know her personally, and she decided, well, I'm just going to read it because this is exactly what she said. She said, I decided to try the parasite test with the ERE for 11 days. In the morning and evening, I used the ERE faithfully for 20 minutes each time. I've always had a mole on my neck, under my chin, and a few more black spots on my cheekbone. After the 11th day, I came upstairs to my kitchen, and something told me to touch my neck area. I did a swipe with my hand, and by Joe, the thing fell off my neck, and the ones on my cheek were gone too. Now, I said I know Diane. I know her well. I knew her for a couple years before she even got her advanced ERE, and I can tell you that those moles are gone. I know that she had those moles there before she did the parasite test, and afterwards they were gone, and she actually collected those moles and kept them in a baggie to prove to people that this really did happen for people that didn't know her. So even using the advanced ERE, you could possibly eliminate moles that you don't want to have. That being said, I'd like to thank you for your attention today. I absolutely love my advanced ERE, and I know that everybody who owns one loves them. If you would like to order one, I would say that if one of my team members shared this video with you, please get back in contact with them and they will be able to share the specials with you. If it wasn't my team member, then it was Jeremiah or I in some way, shape, or form that got you to this video. So feel free to contact me, Laura Brown. My phone number is listed here, and you can also email me and I can help you figure out how to order one and answer any questions that you may have. With that, we'll see you on the next video training, or we'll talk to you on the next video training. Have a great day.